Your protagonist, Evan Carter, returns to his late grandmother's isolated farmhouse deep in the countryside after receiving a strange phone call from her disconnected landline. The house has been abandoned for years, but the call repeated his name in a whisper that sounded exactly like her voice. When Evan arrives, the house feels wrong immediately. The air inside is colder than outside, as if something is breathing slowly from the walls. Dust lies thick everywhere, yet the old wooden door at the end of the hallway appears freshly used. No dust on the handle, no cobwebs on the frame. As Evan explores, he notices the pictures on the wall have changed. In every photo where his grandmother once smiled kindly, her face is now blurred, turned away, or scratched out entirely. Shadows stretch unnaturally in the corners as if avoiding him. At night, while checking the rooms, Evan hears something dragging lightly on the wooden floor. Not footsteps, something pulling itself, slow and deliberate. The sound comes from the old storage room behind the locked doorframe. The same door with the clean handle. He finds the key hidden in the back of a drawer, but when he slides it into the lock, the door creaks open by itself, as if it has been waiting. Inside the room, everything is untouched except a single item placed in the center. A dusty rotary phone, the same phone that should not have been able to call him. The phone begins to ring, not with a normal ringtone, but with the sound of slow breathing. When Evan picks it up, he hears his grandmother whisper, "Don't turn around, it followed you inside." The air behind him shifts. The breathing on the phone matches the breathing now coming from directly over his shoulder. Evan freezes as the thing leans closer, its presence cold enough to sting his skin. He forces himself to look at the old mirror hanging crooked on the wall. The glass is fogged, but he sees the outline of something tall, impossibly thin, crouched behind him in the darkness. Its limbs bending like twisted branches, its head hanging unnaturally low. It raises one long hand and touches his shoulder. The mirror cracks. The phone goes silent. Evan tries to run, but every door in the house slams shut at once. The thing behind him crawls forward, its movements jerky and inhuman, its whisper echoing in his grandmother's voice. "I needed a new place to live. Thank you for coming home." Now, trapped inside the house, Evan realizes the horrible truth. The creature didn't imitate his grandmother. It devoured her, and it wants him next. Your protagonist, Myra Dalton, is driving alone late at night when a violent rainstorm forces her to stop at an old gas station deep in the countryside. The power is flickering, the lights buzzing weakly as if struggling to stay alive. The place seems abandoned, except for the faint sound of a radio playing inside the tiny store. Myra enters to seek help, but the store is empty. The radio on the counter plays nothing but static. Water drips from the ceiling in slow, rhythmic drops, too steady to be natural, like someone tapping a finger above her head. As she explores, she notices something unsettling. Every mirror and reflective surface in the store is covered with newspaper sheets, taped from corner to corner. Every single one. A handwritten sign on the counter reads, "If it starts talking, don't answer." Before she can make sense of it, the radio static shifts. A voice muffled in the static whispers her name. "Myra, you made it." She freezes. No one knows she is here. The voice continues, clearer this time. "Don't look outside." Instinctively, she glances toward the window. The rain on the glass stops falling, only on that single pane. Behind the waterless glass, she sees the blurry silhouette of a person standing completely still in the darkness. The figure raises its hand and taps the window 3 times. Tap, 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 exactly matching the dripping sound from inside. Myra steps back, heart pounding. The radio crackles violently and the voice hisses, "Don't let it see your face." The figure outside shifts, its outline twitching unnaturally as if glitching like a broken video. It presses its head against the glass. No features, no eyes, just a smooth, pale surface where a face should be. Suddenly, the newspapers on the mirrors inside the store begin peeling off one by one, slowly, as if pulled by invisible hands. Myra tries to run, but the door won't budge. The lights flicker wildly. The air grows colder. Then the thing outside begins speaking, not from the window, but from the ceiling above her. The same unnatural voice echoing through the walls. "Myra, look at me." She knows she shouldn't, but the voice drags at her mind like claws scraping bone. When she lifts her head, she sees it hanging upside down from the ceiling. Its faceless head inches from hers, its neck bending at impossible angles. Its skin is stretched tight, trembling as it moves closer. The lights shut off. The store goes silent. In the darkness, only the voice remains, whispering behind her ear, "You looked, now I have your face." When lightning flashes again, Myra sees her own reflection on the glass door, but it isn't her. It's the faceless creature wearing her features, smiling. Your protagonist, Daniel Hayes, returns to his apartment building after a long night shift. Everything looks normal. Same flickering hallway lights, same creaking pipes, same distant hum of the elevator. But as he reaches the third floor, he notices something impossible. A new door has appeared in the middle of the hallway. Apartment 3C, there is no 3C, his building has only 2 apartments per floor. The door is old, older than the building itself, made of rotting wood with a rusted iron handle. A faint smell of damp dirt leaks from the bottom, like soil freshly dug up. Daniel assumes construction work is happening, but when he touches the handle, the door swings open on its own. Inside is not an apartment. It's a long, narrow corridor with dirt walls, lit by a single hanging bulb that shouldn't have electricity. The air is cold enough to burn. Something about the hallway feels alive, as if the walls themselves are breathing. Against all instinct, Daniel steps inside. The door slams shut behind him. He runs back, but there is no handle on this side, only smooth, damp wood. Now trapped, he moves forward through the corridor. As he walks, he begins to hear faint whispers in the dirt walls. Not one voice, hundreds, overlapping, gasping, crying, begging. The bulb above him flickers. The whispers go silent. Then a deep, dragging sound begins behind him. Something is moving in the darkness, something huge. Daniel runs, but the corridor stretches longer and longer, as if the dirt walls shift to trap him. When the bulb finally dies, he is plunged into darkness so thick it feels like liquid. Something touches his shoulder. A voice, ancient and inhuman, whispers, "Thank you for opening the door, we've been waiting." A faint light appears ahead, a doorway. Daniel sprints toward it, heart pounding. He bursts through and slams the door behind him. He finds himself in a small, dimly lit room. A single wooden chair sits in the center. A lantern glows weakly. And on the floor are dozens of hand-carved wooden dolls, each with wide, hollow eyes and cracked mouths. There is one with his name carved on the chest. Daniel. The lantern flickers. The dolls turn their heads toward him, bones cracking. Their mouths stretch open unnaturally. A wave of whispers fills the room again, only now they are speaking his name. The dragging sound returns, louder this time. Closer. Daniel grabs the lantern and smashes it against the wall, plunging the room into darkness. The last thing he hears is the sound of something massive crawling out of the corridor behind him, its voice echoing like stone grinding against bone. "You belong to us now." When the police investigate later, the hallway shows no door, no room, no corridor. Only a single doll on the floor. With Daniel's eyes carved, "Open your protagonist," Lee Morgan works as a night janitor in an old museum preparing for renovation. The building is large, silent, and filled with covered statues, ancient artifacts, and long hallways that echo with every footstep. Most nights are quiet, until tonight. While cleaning the east wing, Lee notices something strange. One of the statues is uncovered. It's a tall, slender stone figure with its hand raised as if waving. She is sure she covered all statues earlier. When she steps closer, she notices something even more disturbing. The statue has no face, just smooth stone where features should be. She shrugs it off as a mistake and covers it again. But as she turns away, she hears a soft scraping sound. When she looks back, the statue's arm is now lowered and pointed directly at her. Lee freezes. The room feels colder. The air thickens. She backs away, but the lights overhead begin to flicker. The shadows in the room stretch across the floor, slow, deliberate, alive. One shadow detaches from the wall. It rises, forming a tall human shape, except it has the wrong proportions. 2 long arms, a neck that twists slightly, and a head that tilts like a broken puppet. It steps forward. Then she hears it, a whisper, soft and distorted, calling her name. "Leah!" The voice comes from the shadow. Lee panics and runs across the museum, but every hallway feels longer than before. Every window shows only darkness, no city lights, no moon, no sky, as if the outside world has been erased. She hides in the exhibit room, heart pounding. The museum is silent. Then the intercom crackles, a voice speaks. A voice that shouldn't be on the intercom. A voice that is not human. "Lee, why are you hiding?" She covers her ears. The voice continues, now coming from every speaker, every hallway, every dark corner. "I saw you. You looked at me. Now I can look at you." The room grows colder. She notices the statue in front of her, the same faceless one, standing right beside the door. Its hand is raised again, reaching out as if to touch her. She turns to run, but the lights go out. In the pitch black, something moves fast. The whisper is now right behind her. "I only need your face." A sudden flash of emergency light reveals a horrifying sight. The shadow creature has grown taller, its limbs stretching along the ceiling, its body pressed too close to hers. And the faceless statue behind her now has faint impressions, indentations of eyes, a nose, a mouth forming slowly, shaping into her face. Lee screams and sprints toward the exit, but the doors won't open. The shadow wraps around her like smoke with hands. The last thing she sees is the statue smiling with her stolen face. The next morning, security finds the museum empty. No Lee. But the statue collection has grown by one. A new stone figure with a perfectly carved face of fear. Your protagonist, David Rowan, is traveling late at night when his car breaks down on an empty highway. With no signal and miles from the nearest town, he finds only one place with lights still on, Ashwood Motel, an old, run-down building surrounded by dead trees and buzzing power lines. Inside, the lobby is dusty, yet the guest book shows a fresh signature added only minutes before his arrival. The name is unfamiliar, the ink is still wet. The receptionist is nowhere to be seen. A bell sits on the counter. When David rings it, a voice answers from behind the wall. "Room 9 is ready for you." The voice is calm, too calm, almost rehearsed. He never sees the person speaking. Feeling uneasy but desperate, David takes the key to room 9. The hallway to his room seems too long, stretching unnaturally as if added onto the building. The carpeting is damp and the lights flicker with every step he takes. When he finally reaches room 9, he hears soft breathing inside, even though the door is locked. He unlocks it slowly. The room is cold, far colder than outside. The bed is neatly made, the lamp dim and the curtains closed, but something is wrong. The mirror on the wall is covered with a thick black cloth. A small handwritten note on the bed reads, "Do not remove the cloth. It sees you." David tries to ignore it, but the breathing continues. Coming now from the bathroom, he checks inside. Nothing, only a dripping tap. When he returns, the cloth over the mirror is on the floor. And the mirror is fogged, as if someone was standing right in front of it. He wipes it. His reflection is delayed, moving a second after he does. Then it begins making expressions he isn't making, smiling wide, eyes widening unnaturally. The reflection whispers, "You checked in, now check out." The room lights flicker violently. The bathroom door slams shut. The closet creaks open on its own. From the darkness, he sees the silhouette of another person sitting on the chair. The same person whose name was in the guest book. Their head hangs unnaturally low, neck bent, limbs limp like a puppet. Their mouth twitches slightly, as if trying to form words but failing. Then the lights go out. In the pitch black, David hears multiple footsteps around him, not from one person but many. Whispers overlap from every direction. "Join us. Room 9 is never full." The mirror glows faintly. He sees dozens of pale faces inside it, staring, trapped, pounding silently against the glass. Their reflections scream, but no sound comes out. He realizes room 9 doesn't hold guests, it keeps them. The breathing grows louder, closer, right behind his ear. The last thing David feels is a cold hand gripping his shoulder and pulling him into the darkness behind the mirror. The next morning, the receptionist finally appears and calmly writes a new name in the guest book. David Rowan. Room 9. Checked in. Never checked out. Your protagonist, Nora Blake, works as a night security guard in an abandoned government building scheduled for demolition. The place is massive. Endless hallways, empty offices, dusty archives, and flickering emergency lights. Her job is simple. Patrol every floor, every hour. Most nights are uneventful until she discovers something that should not exist. On the 4th floor, at the end of a hallway that has always been boarded up, Nora finds a new door. A metal door, open slightly. Cold air leaking from inside. Curious and confused, she pushes it open. Behind it is a spiraling concrete staircase descending downward, far deeper than the building's foundation. The air smells metallic, almost like old blood. There is no reason for a staircase to exist here. According to blueprints, this part of the building is solid concrete. But she hears something. A faint voice echoing from below, a child's voice. "Help, I can't find the exit." Against every instinct, Nora begins descending. With each step, the temperature drops. The walls become darker, the lights dimmer. Yet the voice gets clearer, closer, more desperate. Halfway down, she notices numbers painted on the concrete walls. She has gone far deeper than any basement. The voice changes. Still a child's voice, but wrong, too calm, too steady. "Nora, keep coming." She freezes. How does it know her name? When she turns to go back up, the staircase behind her looks different, rusted, narrower, steeper. She climbs fast, but every step she takes only takes her deeper. The staircase loops endlessly. Then she sees something below, a figure. A small child standing perfectly still, facing the wall. Its shadow stretches up toward her longer than any natural shadow should be. She calls out, but the child doesn't move. When she gets closer, she realizes the figure is not a child at all. It is a mass of limbs, folded to resemble a small silhouette. Arms twisted, legs bent, head crushed inward like something attempting to imitate human shape but failing. Its body trembles slightly as if trying to breathe. The voice behind her speaks again, now deep, now closer. Now directly behind her ear, "You found me." Nora spins, flashlight shaking, but the staircase is gone. All she sees is an infinite shaft of darkness above her and below her. The limb creature begins unfolding, slow, cracking. Growing taller, wider, stretching its body in impossible ways. Bones snap and reform as it straightens to full height, at least 8 feet tall. It opens what should be a mouth, just a long tear across its flesh, widening into a gaping void. The child's voice returns, echoing from inside its body. "Now you don't get to leave." Nora runs into complete blackness, but the staircase bends, twists, and loops, trapping her. Her flashlight flickers out. Her scream disappears into the endless stairwell. Days later, demolition workers find the outer door welded closed from the inside. They never find Nora, but they hear faint footsteps coming from deep underground. Your protagonist, Alina Foster, works as a temporary curator helping to catalog old artwork inside a private mansion recently donated to the City Museum. The mansion is ancient, silent, and filled with dust-covered portraits of long-dead family members whose eyes seem to follow her in every room. While sorting through the attic, she finds a massive painting wrapped in thick black cloth. There is no label, no record, no name. A handwritten warning is nailed to the wooden crate. "Do not unveil it, REMEMBERS." But curiosity wins. Alina slowly removes the cloth. Inside is a life-sized portrait of a tall, pale man standing in a dim forest. His face is partly shadowed, but his eyes are crystal blue, so sharp and lifelike they seem to glow. The man has an expression that looks too real, as if he was alive a moment ago. She feels uneasy and quickly recovers the painting. That night, while finishing inventory in the mansion's library, she hears footsteps upstairs. Heavy, slow, deliberate. She calls out, thinking security arrived early, but there's no answer. When she returns to the attic, the black cloth lies on the floor. The painting is uncovered. Worse, the painted man's head has turned. Instead of looking forward, he is now facing her, his eyes locked onto hers. Alina stumbles back. The room feels colder. The shadows stretch unnaturally long. She covers the painting again and leaves the attic, locking the door behind her. But later, as she walks down the grand hallway, she freezes. There, leaning against the wall, is the same painting, uncovered, waiting. The man in the portrait is standing closer than before, almost at the edge of the canvas, as if stepping out. His hand, previously at his side, is now pressed against the inside of the painting surface, distorting it like fabric. Alina runs, but every corner of the mansion hides another impossibility, the painting appearing again and again and again. In the dining room, in the music hall, beside the staircase, always uncovered, always closer. The man's face becomes clearer each time, losing its painted texture and gaining human detail, skin pores, faint veins, a slow smile forming. The lights go out. The mansion becomes silent. She uses her phone light and notices something horrifying, wet footprints on the wooden floor. Large, bare, leading straight toward her. She backs into a wall, shaking. The light flickers. The scent of damp forest air fills the room, earthy, cold, wrong. In the reflection of a broken mirror, she sees him, the man from the painting. Now full-sized, standing directly behind her, his face inches from her neck, blue eyes glowing faintly. He whispers, "You look too long, now I get to look back." Her phone drops, the footsteps stop. The mansion goes completely quiet. When the museum team arrives the next morning, they find the building empty. Only one thing remains in the hallway, the painting, now showing Alina standing in the forest beside the man, her eyes wide, mouth open in a silent scream. Your protagonist, Caleb Rivers, moves into an old rental house far outside the city to escape noise and focus on his studies. The house is quiet, surrounded by forest, with only one strange feature: a single window in the upstairs hallway that has been nailed shut with wooden planks. The landlord simply said, "Don't try to open it, even if you hear something." Caleb laughs it off at first, until the very first night. While walking upstairs to unpack, he hears a soft tapping from behind the nailed-shut window. Tap, 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 slow and rhythmic, like someone politely knocking. He presses his ear to the wall and hears whispering. Not words, just breathy murmurs like someone trying to speak through water. He tells himself it's the wind, but the tapping returns every hour. Always the same rhythm, always soft, always patient. On the third night, as Caleb passes the hallway, everything goes silent, too silent. Then a voice from behind the planks whispers clearly, "Is someone there?" Caleb freezes, his breath catches. The voice is faint, trembling, almost human. Maybe a child, maybe a woman, he can't tell. It sounds desperate. "Please, it's dark, let me in." He stumbles away and locks himself in his room. But when the house finally grows quiet, he hears footsteps in the hallway, soft, bare feet moving slowly, dragging slightly, stopping at his door. Then the whisper again, right outside, "You're awake." He doesn't sleep that night. The next morning, he checks the hallway. The wooden planks over the window have cracks in them, as if something pushed from the other side. Now uneasy, Caleb tries to leave for the day, but his car won't start. The forest seems thicker around the house, shadows stretching unnaturally long. That night the tapping grows louder, not gentle anymore but urgent. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, then silence. Caleb slowly approaches. The planks are bent outward. He sees something through the cracks, a pale eye staring at him. It blinks. He falls back, scrambling away. But the voice speaks again, now closer, clearer, almost in his ear. "Why won't you help me?" The planks begin to creak, tearing free from the wall one by one. Caleb runs downstairs, but all the windows are now covered in thick frost from the inside. His breath fogs the air. The temperature plummets. Every light in the house flickers violently. Then he hears footsteps above him, fast, inhuman, too many legs. The thing climbs down the stairs slowly, dragging its fingers along the wallpaper, whispering in that same broken voice. "Now you can see me?" Caleb hides behind the couch, shaking, as a pale figure emerges into view, its limbs long and twisted, its face pressed against the wall as if searching for him by sound alone. Its eyes move independently, searching, hunting. It stops, turns toward him, smiles with a mouth that stretches too wide. "Let me in." The next morning, the landlord arrives to find the house empty. Only the hallway window is open now, and on the inside of the glass, a perfect outline of a handprint frozen in place. Your protagonist, Mason Hale, rents a cheap room in an old boarding house after losing his job. The place is strange, silent, and always cold, but the price is impossible to refuse. His room is small, bed, desk, a single lamp, and one locked closet door the landlord warned him about. "Don't open it, not even if it knocks." Mason laughs it off, thinking it's some old superstition. But on the first night, he wakes to a soft knock coming from the closet. 3 slow taps. Tap, tap, tap. He freezes in bed, heart pounding. The knocking stops. The next night it comes again, same rhythm, same time, 3:13 a.m. This time he hears a whisper behind the door. "Is someone out there?" The voice is faint, trembling like a scared child or a lost woman. He can't tell. Mason backs into the corner of the room, staring at the closet. He doesn't sleep for the rest of the night. The third night, things get worse. At exactly 3:13 a.m., the knocking becomes desperate, faster, harder. Then the voice speaks again, but now it knows his name. "Mason, please help me." He covers his ears, terrified, but the voice continues, slipping under the door like cold air. The temperature drops so fast his breath turns white. He shouts, "Who are you?" The whisper responds instantly, "I'm the one they locked inside, and I'm so hungry." The doorknob rattles violently, shaking the entire closet. Mason grabs his phone to call for help, but it has no signal. Every night at exactly 3:13 a.m., the phone dies. Then he notices something horrifying. A thin shadow begins to leak out from the bottom of the closet door, like black smoke crawling across the floor, reaching toward him. Mason runs out of the room and down the hallway, but the entire house is different now. The walls breathing, the floorboards bending beneath his feet like soft flesh. At the far end of the hall, he sees an impossible sigh.